one of the things is Raw comments that line 3 is like the money line, the business line, the money line, and so on. And I think people are like, oh my gosh, where's my line 3 in my chart? That's going to be like where my $1 million is. And I just don't think that that's what he meant. I'm still playing around with this because that's part of my process. Line 3 is a very 3D world kind of line. It's the rubber hits the road. It's putting it in action. It's how does this work in real life? That to me is very much the line 3. And I think that was the point, was, hey, how do you translate what you have into a real world experience? How do you be you in the world? And then for some people, translating that into something related to their business. And that, I think, to me, is what he meant by the money line. That's really, it's the putting it in action line. And what I've found for my journey is that when I put more action into my business, and I'm not going to do the debate about like work and more work and work harder, not this, but actual, you were talking, Juliana, like you were using the term kinesthetic movement, right? Like just not just staying stuck up here, but moving things into reality somehow, some way, is where I noticed things shift and change. Because then I was getting biofeedback. I was getting the feedback whether or not this felt good or not, and other people were responding or not. And it led me to put a sign on my wall that says, everything is an experiment. And so that is a very line 3 sentence, but to me, it's a reminder, I think, for everybody, even if they don't have a line 3 in their profile, everything truly is an experiment. Human design is an experiment. Even Ross said that, you got to go experiment with this. Like, the information only takes you so far. And what I also realize is when I can experiment and detach from the outcome, like detach from any expectations of any particular results, that's where the magic happened. Because I could play without feeling like I had failed if I didn't generate the results I wanted. So if I put something out there, once again, I'm just going to use my business as a platform. When I put something out there and like it fell flat and it got 0 response, I was just like, oh, okay, next, right? I didn't sit back and think, oh my gosh, this means something about me, and, imposter syndrome, and I'm not good enough, and what have you. And I felt like that could be a very low expression of the line 3 if you don't understand the line 3. And I think the beauty of the line 3 and the higher expression is you can move, you can act, you can express, and you can test. Denise actually said she loves to use the word test and testing. And I'm like, right on. That's exactly it. That's what you're doing. You're just testing. A scientist who tests and the test, falls flat, right? Like whatever the outcome is, just me, right? The scientist doesn't sit there and go, I failed, right? I'm a bad person, I'm a bad scientist. No, that's part of their process. They test. It's failure after, failure, let's put in air quotes, but you know what I mean? Not the result they want, not the result they want, not the result they want, not the result they want. Boom, the result they want. They can only get there by getting through the first 4 or 10,000 iterations until they get there. So I am off my soapbox now, and I'm just going to leave it open to Juliana. Go ahead.
One of the things that $1 million formula you mentioned, Marla, that struck something for me, because that's what I find a lot with the people that I work with, is they're like looking for the answer of how they can support themselves in their struggles, whatever they're moving through in their life. And it's like one of the things that I reflect towards them is that you get to experiment. What works for you? What doesn't? Because there's this, I think in our conditioning, there's so much pressure just to get it done right the first time. And if it doesn't work, then somehow you failed. And it's like it almost renders people frozen to try anything at all. And so it's like, okay, well, let's try this thing. And then next week we'll check in and see if you liked it or not. And if you didn't like it, let's try something else. And I think it gives people so much permission to just to be able to explore what activities support their nervous system, what brings them joy, what brings them to a place of feeling like they're on their right path again, right? Taking one step at a time. And there's not that $1 million formula. I mean, perhaps for some people there is. I haven't ever discovered it in my experimentation, right? But it's like we get to experiment as human beings living in this third dimensional realm where there is so many different things on offer to us, right? Like there's just this buffet of things to try. So why can't we try them all, right?
The buffet. Yes. And permission. You said permission, and that just really landed. And I think that goes for all types. But, you know, as a line 3, have permission to play without any expectations, you know, and just enjoy the play. Yeah, Sandra.
So I want us to remember, or for those of you who aren't familiar with this, to help you know, that you have the whole chart. Everyone has the whole chart. The things that are defined are going to be stronger themes, but really all of human possibility is available to you. That's the first thing. The second thing is you are always living your purpose. You are always living your design. You can be experiencing positive aspects of it or not so positive aspects of it. And you can flip back and forth between all of them. The things that are themes in your chart. Sometimes, yes, I definitely do that. And sometimes it's like, no, I don't want to do that. It's a theme. So part of what I like to do is whatever somebody's intention is, like we're talking about, looking for the $1 million formula. This is what you are supposed to do. I like to help people say, look at the things that you're considering doing. You got what you're doing now, and then what your possibilities are. I like to help the person see their chart being expressed in what they are already doing so they can recognize they are giving their gifts 24/7. And for you listening out there, you're giving your gifts 24/7, no matter what you are doing. And then I help them see, okay, so your chart can look like this in this thing that you want to do, writing a book, or this thing you want to do, being a speaker, or this thing you want to do, being a therapist, so that they can see the things that they do all of the time as their gifts being expressed in each of these different ways. So if they're in a job that they don't like, help them optimize their experience of the job. It's an experiment, right? Optimize their experience of the job by being conscious of the gifts that they are already giving in their job. And then how can I optimize my experience in one of these other types of work that I'm more interested in doing that's more closely and easily in alignment with my purpose? But you're always giving your gift.
Yes. Very well said. Yes, indeed. I think even if you're in a space or, you know, a job or something that you're not happy with or you want to move on, I think there is definitely that opportunity to see where, you know, the parts and the pieces of your job, which really make you feel good. Like you said, you can express, you're expressing some of your design. I've had that experience personally recently, looking back on my corporate life, and as much as I wanted to run away, you know, after so many years in it, I could see my design. I could see pieces of it show up and express themselves. And before I even knew human design, I thought, oh, is this, you know, should I be doing it this way? Is it, you know, and but it felt good to do it that way. And so I did. Even if I sometimes wondered, oh, will that be a detriment, right? Because if that's not how other people do it, quote unquote. And I realized, you know, the beauty of human design is that isn't always how other people do it. And that's perfectly okay. It's beautiful because that's what we're here for, is to express our uniqueness.